And we are back with the Glacier Guys podcast. I am your host, Ethan Halesha.
And I am Joey Fernandez.
My co-host. It's been a little while, but we are back. Had a long summer, good summer. I don't think we've done an episode since probably...
I think it was May 12th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I didn't know the exact date. That's pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah, I was just looking the other day, that's why.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so it's been a few months. There's been a lot that we have missed. Well, not missed, but haven't talked about on the podcast in the sports world. So
yeah, lots to say.
Yeah, I know we touched on the White Sox probably on the last couple episodes, but it was very early in the season. And at this point, I don't really think there's any complaints about where the team's at.
No, yeah, definitely last time we talked about them, I mean, there were bright spots, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, there was I'm pretty sure there was a lot of injuries. I know Eloy was for sure hurt, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if Robert or Madrigal were quite hurt yet, but either way, it was still kind of like...
Or who? Who was that last guy you said?
R.I.P. to our fallen soldier, Nick Madrigal. We'll get to that eventually, but at that time he was a part of our team.
Yeah, former White Sox legend Nick Madrigal.
Yeah. So I mean, as for now, like at like a state of the team, I would say, Lance Lynn and Tim Anderson are newly placed on the IL, but more precautionary reasons, I'd say. Tim Anderson with a hamstring strain and Lance Lynn with. I forget, honestly.
It was something, it was kind of like random.
Oh, I think it might have been knee inflammation, knee inflammation.
Yep.
So nothing serious. No. I'm pretty sure if it were October or we were in a pennant race, they'd probably be pitching right now. Mm-hmm. So it's just mostly precautionary and get some other guys some reps.
Yeah,
anyway.
I feel like this has been kind of a nagging injury for Anderson, and they're just kind of they're just having him take it easy for now, which is fine. I mean, we have a comfortable 10-game lead, tied for the largest division lead in all of baseball, so it's like I'm not worried at all.
AL Central magic number down to 22. Pretty happy to say.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hopefully we could hold on to the division this year, unlike last year. But I'm definitely more comfortable with our team where we're at right now.
Yeah. As we're recording this on Wednesday, the 1st of September, Lucas Giolito exited his start early last night against the Pirates. Yeah. Through 4 1/3.
He looked good for the most part.
Yeah, looked pretty solid. He's been pretty amazing, I would say, since the All-Star break. One of the best pitchers in baseball for sure. Mm-hmm. Overall, the season's been pretty solid. He's had some ups and downs, obviously, but I mean, overall, you can't be too mad at his performance. I would say.
Exactly.
So with injuries, obviously, other guys have to step up, and
they've done just that.
Yeah, they get more reps, and there's some more acquisitions going on today with September call-ups taking place and the IL stints occurring. So Danny Mendick was called up. Gavin Sheets was also called back up. Matt Foster was called back up, and Billy Hamilton was back from his rehab assignment in Charlotte.
Right.
But I forgot to mention, Rake Lamb has been designated for assignment.
Dang. I don't know if we're ever going to recover from that.
Had a good run. Had some nice moments. No hard feelings, but I mean, we got Billy the hitter back. I mean, there's not much more you can say to that, I guess.
I mean, he is having the best year of his career, so
yeah. I mean,
and he's just like, I've been preaching this all season. He's a fantastic dugout guy to have. You know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had that GoPro. I don't know if you saw that video of him with the GoPro at the Field of Dreams game. It was pretty funny.
I think he talks faster than he runs. I mean, dude's just
and that's saying something. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Is Engel? What's his situation right now?
He should be back soon. Like I said, they're kind of just taking it slow with every injury we got right now because there's no reason to rush back. I mean, what is a random series against the Pirates really going to mean at this point? You just kind of got to tread water and try to get hot at the end.
And it's not like we're too worried about where the Indians are at right now.
No, they've been hovering around 500 ever since, the All-Star break, I guess. They haven't really done much. A lot of their guys have one guy in particular is just baffling, like how bad he's been since the All-Star break. James Karinchak, he's been like literally brutal. He's had 11% K rate since the All-Star break, which is awful because he was sitting around nearly 40% before that.
Oh my gosh!
So I'd say the sticky stuff may have affected him the most.
Yeah, it's affected a few pitchers, but
yeah. The White Sox also had a surprising call-up today for Many reasons. They called up Romy Gonzalez. I think he's how you say his name.
Okay.
I'm not really.
Yeah, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, he's a solid prospect in the Sox system, and he's been kind of a quick riser throughout the year. He was an 18th round pick in 2018, and he's 24 years old. He's done well in the minors all year, to be honest with you. He's had an 880 OPS, and he's hitting 275 with a 357 OBP and a 525 slugging. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's really solid. So he can play every position, but catcher basically. So he's auditioning himself for the utility role next year. It's in the place of Laurie Garcia. So
so we're not going to keep him?
Sadly, I'm not too sure about that.
I mean, if not, he's had a, I wouldn't say great run, but he's had a long run here.
Yeah. I think he's the longest tenured. Yeah,
he came on the team in 2013. He was still teammates with Paul Konerko at a time.
Yeah, he was traded for Alex Rios. I don't know what I was going to say.
Alex Rios?
Yeah, Alex Rios, yeah. So that's
Alex Rios,
pretty
so
interesting,
funny.
I'd say. But yeah, he started the year in Birmingham and kind of just raked everywhere he went. I mean, he had an 850 OPS in a tough league in AA, and then he had a 1100 OPS in AAA, in a small sample size, I will say, but still.
How long was he in AAA for?
9 games only.
Okay.
But he played 78, and he did well in AA, which is probably harder than AAA. So I'm pretty interested to see how he is on defense and just as in general.
For sure.
I've only heard good things about him, so we'll have to see how it goes. But I'm pretty excited. That's probably who I'd prefer to get the reps at shortstop while TA is gone, because I just want to see what he's got. I
mean, especially at I'm not gonna say games that don't matter, but like at this point in the season, like it's good to get him like experience.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows? He could end up on the playoff roster along with Gavin Sheets too, just because. I mean, guys like Brian Goodwin aren't safe, I would say. Danny Mendick definitely isn't safe because he's been up and down all year. Yeah. So, I mean, the only guys who are locked in is probably I don't even know if I could say Billy Hamilton is fully locked in, but he has like Garcia, a special kind of role. I would say Garcia is probably locked in just because,
he's been there and done
that.
Yeah,
exactly.
What else was I going to say? I had a thought. Hold on. All right, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, another thought I had about the team was Reynaldo Lopez.
Fifth starter, question mark?
I don't even know. Dallas Keuchel has gotten gradually worse as the year's gone on. He had a month and a half or so where he was okay, but he was still not nearly to the par he was last year. So, but Reynaldo Lopez just came out and just dominated whatever role he's been put in. He's been a spot starter. He's came in and thrown 5 innings in relief a few days ago.
Perfect innings.
Yeah. And literally 5 innings, no hits, no walks, 7 Ks. I mean, what else can you really ask for out of a reliever? And I'm happy that he's going to get a few starts where he gets to actually plan to be a starter and stuff like that. Well, I think it's only just 1 start now that I think about it, because Lance Lynn's only missing 1. But either way, I like to see him get some more reps, on the arm.
Maybe because he's not a starter now, there's a little less pressure, and that's why he's thriving. There's got to be something to that, you know what I mean?
Maybe I think it could be something where he's kind of going out there like he has nothing to lose, and like
Rodon.
Yeah, it's not like anyone really expects much out of him or expected much out of him when he came back up, because he had a 7.5 ERA in AAA this year. So it's not like he went down there and he was proving himself that he needs to be on the roster. He just kind of got called up out of circumstances. So it's pretty interesting to see how he just kind of locked in and has been in a groove ever since.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then outside of that, just some of our key guys. You got Grandal, Luis Robert, and then Abreu. I mean, every August though, Abreu's just it's absurd how good these guys are right now.
It's literally Abreu's August every year. I mean, he
got to 100 RBIs again. I think 6 out of his 7 full seasons. Something like that. He's had 100 RBIs, which is absolutely absurd. Yeah,
3rd Sox player ever to have 6 100 RBI seasons, along with Paulie and Frank. So pretty good company, I'd say.
That's insane.
Carrying on the first baseman's legacy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's not much. I mean, that's kind of what you expect Abreu to do at this point.
He's going for his 3rd consecutive RBI crown, which he'd be the first player since Cecil Fielder to do that.
Yeah, his OPS has been slowly creeping up throughout the month, obviously. So he's creeping up on a 900 OPS, which is great, obviously.
What's his slugging percentage right now?
Over 5, maybe in the 540s, 550s. I mean, I could fact check that, but a few other players have also came out the gates running, coming back from injury, such as Yasmani Grandal.
Oh my gosh,
I mean,
man.
it's just it's
just raking.
He's scheduled to walk once a game at least, and scheduled to hit a home run every game at this point. It just feels like.
Yeah.
Literally every time he's at the plate, you're like, well, he's not chasing anything, and if he gets his pitch, good luck.
Mm-hmm. And then Moncada, I don't know if he had a hit yesterday, but he was on a 15.
Yeah, I believe he had a double.
So it's a 16-game hit streak now for Moncada, even though he's had his struggles this year, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
I feel like people are just, overreacting because he's not, been performing as well as some of the other key players, you know?
Yeah, he's just very hot and cold sometimes, and sometimes the way, he can go about his at bats. It'll look like
himself.
It'll look like he's not even trying. But
I think that's just how he is, though.
Yeah, you know what I mean. He's very patient at the plate, and he'll be very conservative sometimes. And sometimes he'll get rung up on some bad pitches where he knows that he was correct on his judgment of the pitch, but the umpire doesn't see it that way because they're not perfect, obviously. Yeah. So people will get mad at stuff like that, but that's just the kind of player he is. You got to accept it.
It's not even his fault either, especially if the pitch isn't there. You know, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
You just got to take the good with the bad. Honestly, there's not much you can really you can do about it. Honestly, he's just been notoriously getting rung up on bad pitches. So, I mean, he's just a naturally patient hitter. That's kind of how he is. But he'll always play great defense. I mean, that's really all you really need out of him, honestly. Our lineup is good enough. He's still hitting above league average. He's been one of our best players on our team all year.
Oh, yeah.
And he's also played through injuries. I don't think people put that into consideration enough, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And what's it called? And then Moncada, I mean, defensively, he's been fantastic this year, honestly.
Yeah, he might be I mean, he's got a 3.4 B-WAR right now, but he could eventually get up to a 5, which is amazing. That's basically all-star level, and you really can't ask much more out of someone. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I think people are just kind of unfair about him. He takes the most heat on the team for some reason, besides Keuchel, but, I mean...
Yeah, it's just
the most unfair heat, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. By a long shot, I'd say, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Even with... I think Gio kind of fits in that category, too. A lot of people are just, destroying him because of his record or, if he has one bad outing or something. But
yeah. They, I don't understand that.
I mean, he has one of the highest K rates in the league.
That's what I'm saying, and it's not like his stuff went away. It's not like he was getting hit all that hard. He would just give up some random long balls, or he would lose his control in an inning. That's something that can be worked on, especially with a guy who's been there and done that before, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, I feel pretty promising about where we're at right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, another crazy stat I wanted to bring up with Yasmani, he has over a 500 on-base percentage against left-handed pitching this year.
That is...
I believe it's almost close to 520.
That's absurd.
It's literally Barry Bonds level. I mean, I know it's only against one side, but still, either way, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, dude's getting on base more than half the time against lefties. So it's just
yeah, and that's
he's
his
having
power
one
side.
of the weirdest seasons of all time too.
Oh yeah, he has the lowest. He has the lowest batting average of all time. If the season ended today, he would have the lowest batting average of all time for someone with a 900-plus OPS.
I think he has the biggest gap between batting average and on-base percentage of any player ever.
That's crazy.
Yeah, at least that's how it was earlier in the season. But
yeah. I mean, the batting average has rose a little bit, but it's still not very
it was at 207 the other night.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's even higher now.
Really?
It's creeping towards the 230s, if not already there,
all right.
Which is very promising. I mean, but I don't really
he doesn't
care about
batting average
anyway.
means nothing, you know.
Oh, it's 210, my bad. But
that's fine.
I mean, who cares? The OBP's 403. That's all that matters, honestly. So.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should get to the bullpen situation.
Yeah, for sure.
So, the Sox, obviously, we weren't recording the podcast at the time, but the Sox went out and made some huge moves at the deadline. They acquired 2 Cubs relievers and a second baseman. They acquired Ryan Tepera and Craig Kimbrell from the Cubs, in 2 separate deals. Ryan Tepera was for Connor Pilkington. He's a minor league pitcher. Nothing too crazy. And then for the Craig Kimbrell trade, obviously he was the best reliever in baseball all year before the deal. So, and he has another year of control. So it's obviously gonna be a big package. So we had to give up Nick Madrigal, our future second baseman, or he used to be our future second baseman, and Cody Hoyer, who is one of our more like promising young relievers, I'd say, even though his stats hadn't been all great at that time. But I mean, overall, I think that deal was worth it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Cesar Hernandez is just, he's, like, I know that's not part of the Cubs deal, but just, like, replacing Nick with someone like that, I mean, it's like he's, like, so much better defensively, I'd say, than Madrigal. And then at the plate, I mean, he's been a little hot and cold, but he's definitely serviceable in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's got a little more pop. Obviously, Madrigal is the better player, but Cesar is just about league average and above average defensively, I would say. So
for sure.
I feel perfectly fine with it. And Madrigal wasn't going to help us this year, so it doesn't hurt as much because this helps us get better this year, like fully. And we'll have another year of being able to just go for it, which feels nice. But, I mean, a lot of people were questioning what Kimbrell's role would be because obviously we have two of probably the top three closers in baseball. So, like, how do they share that role? But they've both been pretty open, like, welcoming with each other and, like, haven't been too, like, alpha, like, I want to be the ninth inning guy, like, who are you? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, yeah, they've been pretty respectful about it. And, I mean, Craig Kimbrell's had some ups and downs in the eighth, but I think it's just an adjustment period, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you come to a new team, new league, you know what I mean? It's just, like, it's kind of a different feel, especially when you, like, come from being the closer and then you have a guy like Liam Hendricks on your team. You're not coming in the ninth all the time anymore. You're coming in the eighth. You know, it's just like a different role you have. So
yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that. I mean, to be honest with you, Craig Kimbrell's like numbers with us are so inflated because he got lit up by the Cubs twice.
Yeah,
literally, maybe 3 times. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, against the Cubs, his stats are 2 2/3, 6 earned, a 24 ERA, and a 3 WHIP.
That is horrendous.
But against everyone else,
I mean, the Cubs know him though, you know.
Yeah, against everyone else, he's had 9 2/3, 3 earned, a 2.9 ERA, and a 0.7 WHIP. So I feel like that's perfectly fine. Like that's perfect. Like that's pretty solid actually. So
yeah, for sure.
I mean, as long as we don't face the Cubs in the playoffs, I think we'll be okay.
And I don't think we have to worry about that this year, at least.
Yeah.
Or for the next 3 years.
I mean, you never know.
Pat Wisdom maybe could carry the team to greatness, but
yeah.
And then with Liam too. I mean, he had his struggles over the past month a little bit, but you know, it's like you can't expect him to be perfect all the time, you know.
Yeah, a lot of some home run issues, I would say, for the most part
against the Yankees.
Yeah,
that was frustrating.
But he did come out and say that him and his wife talked, and they feel like he was tipping pitches, and he noticed right away. So he made that correction, and he's been strong ever since. So I'm hoping that actually was the reason. I mean, if we play the Yankees again, we'll see we'll see if it was legit or not. I mean, who knows? Because they seem to be picking up on that sort of sign, and he agreed with it. So, I mean, I'm gonna take his word for it, and he's been solid since. So hopefully that was just a small hiccup on the season.
Even though we're 1-5 against the Yankees this year, I'm still not too
no,
I'm not concerned about them. You
not
know
at
what I
all,
mean?
honestly. Yeah, compared to the other teams in the AL that I kind of am a little scared of, they're the least of my worries personally.
Yeah. Same.
I just don't think their pitching staff is good enough. I think their bullpen is kind of inconsistent and can fall apart.
I think their lineup's a little inconsistent too.
Yeah, they have a lot of swing and miss in their lineup besides like DJ LeMahieu, but
you got Gallo, you got Stanton, you got Judge. You know, it's just like even Rizzo.
Yeah, and they can get cold pretty quick, and that's kind of the engine to their whole team.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
The anchor almost, because they have Garrett Cole, but then after that, I mean, they've had solid pitching in the starting rotation overall, I guess, but I just don't know if I can trust them compared to the other pitching staffs,
especially come playoffs. Yeah,
exactly.
Sure. Teams like the Astros.
Yeah, the Astros they're just so solid all around, and their lineup has so much less swing and miss and is just as much power, so it's pretty scary. They just got Bregman back also, so that's pretty frightening in my opinion. And They also had an under-the-radar deadline move with Kendall Graveman, who's been one of the most solid relievers in baseball, too. He's just not the most sexy name, obviously, but he still gets the job done, so that's a little frightening to me, honestly.
Yeah.
And the Tampa Bay Rays are just the scrappiest team ever.
It's almost, you can't even explain why they're. I mean, they have good players, obviously, but it's like
they've just mastered the platoon.
Yeah,
even
pretty much
with their pitching staff, with openers and mixing and matching and playing matchups and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're just so far ahead in advance compared to everyone else as far as analytics go. So it's credit to them, but it's pretty frightening to look at, to be honest with you, in the playoffs, as far as all the management goes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, last year they were able to kind of sneak their way into the World Series, and they put up a decent fight. I mean, they have a tough division too, so.
Yeah, and they're kind of running away with it right now, which is kind of crazy because
8 games ahead. Yeah, I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
after the Yankees went on their winning streak.
Yeah, they haven't had the worry the whole time. They dominated their own August too, but they just
9-1 in their last 10.
Yeah, they just find a way to be so underrated all the time. I don't understand, but who knows? The Sox on paper are, a top 3 team in the league, talent wise, I'd believe. So, we can beat anyone. It just depends on. How the cards go, who gets hot at the right time. That's what October's about usually. So
100%. Yep.
Yeah. So
I mean, we can move on to the Cubs a little bit. Over the summer, they basically just blew up their entire team.
Yeah, they had a massive fire sale, which contributed to one of the most eventful trade deadlines of all time.
Yeah.
Basically fueled by the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
They literally traded away Javi Baez, and they traded away Anthony Rizzo, they traded away Chris Bryant, Jock Peterson,
Craig Kimbrell.
I'm probably forgetting Jake Marisnik. Literally, the day after the trade deadline, I saw the lineup on Twitter, and all the replies were just who are these people?
Yeah, honestly.
It's pretty funny.
It was brutal.
Yeah, with that, though, you do get a chance to give some under-the-radar guys, or maybe some guys who never really got a chance, some extra reps and some extra playing time to see what they can actually do, And
a few of them have been good.
Yeah,
too, so.
yeah. Rafael Ortega has been pretty solid for them. He's been a diamond in the rough. All these guys are pretty old as far as baseball age goes.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, for them just to be getting a chance now, it's pretty crazy. Rafael Ortega debuted in 2012 as a 21-year-old, then didn't play again until he was 25, and then took another 2 years off. And it's kind of crazy. He's bounced around the league. He's been a journeyman in the minors and all that stuff. And all of a sudden this year, in 75 games, he's had an 832 OPS and been pretty solid for them. He can play all the outfield positions. He is 30. Yeah, I believe he's 30. Oh, he's 31. Yeah, he's 30 years old. So he's not the youngest guy ever, but who knows? Maybe he becomes a solid staple in the lineup for them.
For at least the next couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't want to call it a rebuild as far as the Cubs front office goes, Jed Hoyer and the Ricketts family. But if they call it a retool, then if they are good in a couple of years, he could be a piece of that team,
Yeah, for sure.
He's a solid lefty bat who has some decent pop. So, who knows? He could be pretty solid for them. And then another guy that they acquired for Andrew Chafin from the Athletics was Frank Schwendell, who's also 29 years old, but he's been pretty solid for them also. And 117 at-bats this year. He's had a 340 batting average with a 390 OBP and a 629 slugging. So, it's pretty solid. This is with the Cubs, by the way, because he played 8 games for the A's. But yeah, he's been really solid for them all year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, not all year, but since the trade deadline. So, who knows? Maybe he's Anthony Rizzo's replacement, new captain.
He could be. It's so hard to say at this point because everything's so fresh and new with these players. But I don't know. It's gonna. They're not gonna be good for a couple of years anyway. No. So it's whatever. But
yeah, but it's
if they can hold these guys onto these guys, and they still produce in a couple of years, they could definitely be key pieces to a playoff team.
Yeah, it's nice to find some some under the radar guys who maybe didn't get a chance. Like, that's always a good story, I feel like. Especially like with guys like Patrick Wisdom also, who's been a Rookie of the Year candidate. I mean, it's not like he's very young either, but he's been very solid all year. He's been definitely their best hitter, I think.
Oh, yeah, by far.
And he's been doing it longer than everyone else because he was getting playing time before they even blew it up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a 900 OPS basically in 84 games.
I mean, he popped off against the Sox, right, in the last series?
Yeah, he's got 25 home runs this year. I mean, he doesn't walk very much, but I mean, either way, he's still he's got some pop. He's 30.
Yeah, and
but,
he mashes the ball too.
Yeah,
so.
But I mean, who cares? You know what I mean? Because he's a former first-round pick. I mean, sometimes it just takes time for guys to figure it out. I mean, Justin Turner's a prime example of it. So who knows?
For sure.
I think he has the best chance to stick on the team, personally.
I do, too.
I like him a lot. And then a guy they acquired was Cody Hoyer from the White Sox. He's a promising young reliever, I'd say.
And then with Madrigal, too, you know, maybe they have their future second baseman if they decide to hold on to him for a while. But
yeah, I agree. Yeah, Madrigal's also going to be a really solid player for them. But I just don't think they're going to... I don't know. I was fine with giving him up just because I feel like his ceiling isn't nearly as high as the other guys that we could have gave up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I much preferred to get rid of him than Crochet. Yeah. Just because Crochet's a lefty, at worst a really good lefty reliever, and he could also become a starter eventually because that's what they want him to do. So I'd much rather take a risk on that upside, even if there is injury risk.
I agree, because with Madrigal, like, he's not the best defender, and there's only so much he could really do at the plate. You know what I mean? Like, he's good at the plate. Don't get me wrong. He's fast and he's a contact hitter, but I don't know. He's just he's a good leadoff guy, like, basically.
For sure.
But like you said, his ceiling's just not ridiculously high.
Yeah. And with Cody Hoyer, which is another piece they got, which is pretty underrated, I would say. I like him a lot. He's been solid for them, actually, in 13 games. And with 15 innings, he's had a 1.2 ERA. The strikeout numbers are a little down, and the FIP is a little high as a result. But I think eventually he'll be a solid closer for them, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's always had the good stuff. He just got behind on hitters a lot, especially with us. So it's going to be interesting to see how their rebuild goes because they have a lot of money to spend. Who knows if they're actually going to spend it? But, I mean,
there's talks of them getting, like, Javi Baez back after this year, and, you know, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
I said we can move on to some Bears football.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably the most exciting topic for me, at least.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We just closed out the preseason, finished 2-1. Biggest story, I mean, Justin Fields. You know?
That's literally the whole preseason. The story. Honestly.
I don't think anybody's really paid attention to anybody outside of that player on the field.
No, I mean, we had some other solid players on like that are nice surprises like every preseason, but I mean, all eyes are on the QB.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, that's whenever your team has a young quarterback, that's all everyone wants to look at. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. I personally was impressed with how he did, to be honest with you.
Same. Yeah, he did more than he needed to, I feel like.
Yeah, it's one thing that impresses me a lot with him is that he never really makes the same mistake twice, you know? Like, if something happens, like, against the Bills, did you see that hit where he just got smoked and the helmet flew off and stuff? Yeah. It's because he forgot to check the coverage or check the blitz or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's identifying it.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that again after that. So he learned from his mistakes, and he just keeps developing.
His stats under pressure are fantastic.
Yes. Which
is just crazy for a rookie quarterback that hasn't even had any actual NFL like game time playing.
Yeah, he almost got better with the pressure, which is so impressive because that's such a veteran thing. But
he has a feel for pressure, and he knows when to stay in, and he knows when to scramble. It's just
exactly.
It's awesome to see.
And his pocket presence is just so good.
He's very poised.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like he's ever looking to run, but that's always like he's going through all his progressions and then he runs. You know?
And he has that in his back pocket if he ever has to, because he's still a really good scrambler, too.
That's such a sigh of relief, because with Mitch, it was always like first read gone, then he starts to panic and can't get through the rest of his reads without like getting happy feet and making a bad throw or just taking off. You know, like not to harp on Mitch or anything, but you know what I mean. Like he just.
But we're gonna harp on Mitch a little bit.
A little bit because it's. I mean, how you kind of have to compare them. You know what I mean? Because you have to talk about what you had before,
right?
And you can't talk about Nick Foles because Nick Foles is Nick Foles at this point. So there's no point.
I mean, same thing with Andy Dalton. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I do think Andy Dalton's better than Nick Foles. But
by
it's
far.
Just like what is Andy really gonna give you? You know?
And this whole like Nagy saying he promised him that he'll start, and then you see like Cam Newton get cut from the Patriots, and Mac Jones is starting. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is starting. I'm pretty sure Zach Wilson he's probably starting in.
Yes, everyone literally. I would say 3 out of the 5 are starting. Trey Lance probably would be starting, but he got placed on the COVID list right before the season, so it's like, dang, that 10 days is kind of hurting a little bit. I would say because I think he was really close to just taking the job before the season even began. Mm-hmm. But besides that, yeah, I mean everyone's gonna start. Trevor, Zach, and Mac. So
it's just like it doesn't even make sense because I feel like if Nagy wants to keep his job, he's gonna put Fields out there.
You would
week
think,
1,
yeah,
you know?
but it's almost like he feels like he has a sense of security.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all because he's had subpar seasons and then just like managing the team. We don't have a playoff win under him. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm rooting for the team to win no matter who's under center. But a part of me is hoping it's a Deshaun Watson type entrance where Andy Dalton gets to play a half and then just gets pulled. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't happen all that often, but it would be nice.
But I think even with Cam struggling and everything, like him getting cut before the season started, that really surprised me.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, Bill Belichick definitely is willing to put the best players on the field. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't think that he would just be willing to just throw him out like that.
Yeah, I thought he'd at least keep him as a backup or something. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised, honestly. But Mac Jones did impress me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie in his games. He had a lot more zip on the ball. It felt like I don't know what it is. It just felt like he
actually looked good.
Yeah, he was able to throw some tight windows, and his pocket presence. I don't know. I feel like people talk down on like his athleticism and stuff like that, but I didn't feel like he was
just because he's got a dad bod.
Yeah, I didn't feel like he was a complete statue though. I feel like he can move a little bit. That's all you really kind of need is to be able to just move up in the pocket, like and just. Dash away from pressure a little bit, you know.
Some of the best quarterbacks of all time aren't very mobile, so it's like, you know what I mean.
I mean, both Mannings,
and
Tom
Brady,
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I mean, most quarterbacks. I mean, like 15 years ago, that was what all quarterbacks did basically, besides like Michael Vick. Yeah. So, I mean, it's I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see how that offense works because last year with Cam, it was pretty stale. A lot of read option, a lot of basic I formation, halfback dive.
And he kind of couldn't throw the ball at all accurately.
They didn't have very much of a vertical passing attack, so I'm wondering if that opens up the run game more and opens up a big season for a guy like Damian Harris or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. It's just like interesting to see that, and then Nagy's just sticking to his word, and it's like I understand that in a sense, but like I feel like to keep your job, you need to put Fields out there because I mean after the preseason, that kind of just shows that we have the best chance to win when he's on the field.
Yeah, he made some like extremely impressive plays. Like the way his last touchdown that he threw was like unreal. Like, I don't understand how he just zips the ball in there like that over his head like barely good enough for him, like where he could only catch it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know
where the defender can't reach it. Yep.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, Andy Dalton still claims it's his team, and then it's just funny how the fans react. They'll boo Dalton when he's in the game, and they'll give Justin Fields a standing ovation.
Yeah, a part of me does have sympathy for Andy Dalton in that aspect because it's like they signed you to come play.
Yeah,
like what else are you supposed to do? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not like he said anything that like made them want to hate him. That he was just automatically hated just because
we drafted Justin Fields.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I mean, on the podcast, I remember when we signed Dalton, and we were like, "What are we doing?"
We were not. Yeah, that was kind of a grim podcast. We were a little bit down, to say the least.
Yeah.
We were kind of like, well, what now?
Yeah.
But then we got Justin Fields. Obviously, we were pretty joyous, but I mean, now we're just kind of like
waiting.
In a waiting game.
Yeah, we're in a stalemate right now with the Bears. So,
and a couple other people that I wanted to touch on as far as preseason goes. Jesper Horsted, the tight end he went to an Ivy League school. I want to say it was Harvard, which is kind of funny. He had a really good game.
How about the one-handed touchdown?
Yeah, I know. He was actually the one who caught that Justin Fields touchdown that I was talking about. Oh, he went to Princeton. My bad.
Okay.
But he I don't know. He's pretty impressive. He may end up taking Jimmy Graham's spot at some point.
You think so?
Yeah. He's kind of that same kind of player where
Who's
he
the
can
other?
just jump
we
up
have
and high
Jesse
point the
James
football.
too.
Yeah,
okay.
I like him a lot. He's been an underrated acquisition, honestly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel it was the Lions that cut him. I'm not really sure why. I mean, I know they have T.J. Hawkinson, but he's a solid depth tight end.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel good about our tight end group this year. That's for sure.
Me too. I was looking at the roster, I think yesterday, and I was pretty impressed.
Yeah. And that's not even talking about Cole Kmet, who's our best tight end. So it's pretty interesting. Trevis Gibson, he was a 5th round pick last year, or something around that area. He was a mid to late draft pick last year. And he didn't really do much his rookie season. Pretty quiet, honestly, but this year in the preseason, he dominated, to be honest with you. He had the highest PFF grade out of any pass rusher in the preseason. So hopefully he can break out and take Robert Quinn's spot in the starting lineup because
yeah, Robert Quinn's that signing was kind of turned out to be a mess.
Yeah, I not a very big fan of it. Trevis Gibson was a 5th rounder, but he I don't know. Robert Quinn is just why, but there's just not much you can really do about it at this point. The money's locked in, so he's just you kind of got to hope he has a resurgence.
It reminds me of that player. You saw the game where, like, years ago, it was Eagles versus Redskins, and Michael Vick was the quarterback. And then the Redskins, like, defensive tackle, he just stayed on the ground.
Oh.
You know who I'm talking about?
I mean, I keep wanting to say Albert Hainsworth, but is it him?
It could be, but it was just like he was really good earlier in his career, and then they signed him for all this money, and he's just staying on the ground.
It was definitely Albert Hainsworth.
That gives me Robert Quinn vibes, for sure. It just seems like he's. I mean, it's hard to say a player's unmotivated, but like I don't know. You know, Quinn just looks so stale out there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just lost a step, and everyone's just giving him unnecessary.
Like Danny Trevathan, I mean, he's lost a step too, obviously. But
I mean, it's just for the money that both of them are paid. I wanted to say Robert Griffin. I don't know why. Robert Quinn. You got the Redskins Griffin on my mind, I guess. Oh, the football team.
Oh, okay, that's a good catch.
Censor myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, the what's it called? The Robert Quinn signing just hurts. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, it was just not good. Yeah, I mean, you win some, you lose some, though. You know what I mean? So
yeah, hopefully Trevis comes up and makes up for all that money, even though he's on a rookie contract. But you know what I mean.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but besides that, we've had some notable cuts / trades. Desmond Trufant. Well, actually, we'll start with the earlier ones. Anthony Miller traded to the Houston Texans for a pick, a late pick. I mean, it just kind of had to be done at some point because it wasn't working. Yeah, he was just continuously in the doghouse, and there's no point of having him on the team if nothing's going to come out of it. You know what I mean? So
I mean, he was a solid player, kind of, I guess. Yeah. But, like, the potential was there. He just kind of, I don't know if he's a head case or he's just kind of a headache in the locker room, I feel like.
Yeah, he would just make mental mistakes. He was very talented. Had great route running and good hands, but he would just have mental drops, and he would just have lapses in judgment where he would do something stupid like trash talk a player and get a penalty or get something
ejected from the game.
Yeah, or forget what route he's running or run the wrong route or forget the play or something like that. And he would cost the team, and he would get put in the doghouse. And there's just, for a former second-round pick to be doing that still in his 3rd year, like, it's just time to get out.
Yeah, time to move on for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I wish him the best.
Javon Wims, he kind of fits into that category of being in the doghouse. You know, he's kind of a aggressive player, but he didn't really do anything positively on the field for the team. I feel like just in general.
He had a few like okay games where he made a couple catches and stuff, but besides that, he really didn't make crazy amount of impact.
And the drop in the playoff game was just...
Yeah, that was kind of the icing on the cake, honestly. Yeah. And then, I mean, obviously, like, the ejection and stuff, all that doesn't help. But,
right.
He stayed on the team for a few years as a 7th-round pick. I mean, I would say he's not, like, a complete, like, bust or anything.
No, yeah,
7th-round picks most of the time don't even make the team, so pretty impressive, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Going along with that, the Bears finally narrowed down their 50-man roster decisions and were forced to cut. He was most likely going to be a starting corner, Desmond Trufant, but unfortunately his father passed away a few weeks ago, so he didn't show up to camp afterwards and kind of just stayed with his family, so he kind of forced the Bears' hand, and they had no other choice. So, well wishes to him, but it does kind of hurt to lose him because I don't know who's going to start on the other side next to Jalen Johnson.
I don't know. I have no clue.
It's not going to be great.
No.
But they're gonna have to figure it out, I guess. They also cut draft pick this year, Daz Newsome. But
he'll probably be on the practice squad.
Yeah, he'll be on the practice squad. He'll clear waivers. He's still a developmental player.
Speedy guy.
Yeah, he's a solid wide receiver. Who knows what it'll be? Riley Ridley got cut. He never really did anything anyway. He was known as Calvin Ridley's brother, and
that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah.
I think he outperformed him in the national championship game or something when they played each other.
I didn't even know that, honestly. That's pretty funny if that's the case.
Yeah, because it was Georgia-Bama.
Yeah,
I remember, and I'm pretty sure Riley had the better game.
Well, I can't say that wasn't a fluke, I guess.
Yeah.
He didn't really do much for us. He was a healthy scratch most of his career. So,
yeah.
Well wishes to him also. Maybe he'll end up somewhere else on a practice squad or something and work his way up, but
probably
won't be with the Bears.
Yeah, definitely not.
Along with cutting and trading, cutting/trading 4 wide receivers, they signed a newly cut Brashad Perimen to a 1-year deal for, coming off of the Detroit Lions. The Lions gave him $2 million guaranteed in the offseason to be one of their top receiving options, and then cut him before the season ended.
Did they say why they cut him?
No, I'm not really sure why they gave him guaranteed money if they weren't going to be sure about keeping him.
That's like one of the best deals for him that he could have made. $2 million guaranteed, doesn't have to play a single down in the regular season.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how he got cut from that team, looking at that wide receiver group.
Just looking at the team in general. I genuinely think the Lions are going to be the worst team in the league this year.
I don't really understand that. Quentin Cephas is one of their starting wide receivers. So
I don't even know what that. I've never heard that name in my life.
That is. They don't have a very good group there, I would say. They do have a solid draft pick in Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC, but besides that, not much promise on that wide receiver group.
Their running backs are okay in Swift and Williams, but having Jared Goff as your quarterback is just it's not going to be good.
Oh no, not at all. Pretty brutal, honestly.
Yeah, he was. The only reason he was even relatively successful is because of the system he was in LA, and I'm convinced of that. And I think the Rams are going to be a much better team this year because they have an actual good quarterback in Matthew Stafford.
So. Oh yeah, Jared Goff was holding that team back, and I firmly believe it. Honestly,
yeah.
I feel like that goes without saying because the Rams had to give up Goff and a first rounder. Goff was almost like a throw-in on that trade. So the fact that was the case, I'm honestly shocked the Lions stuck with him. They didn't take a quarterback this year in a loaded class.
Very, very confused.
Didn't really make any sense to me personally, but
they're kind of a train wreck of a franchise. They've ruined 2 superstars' careers already. So
yeah, I don't understand why they decided that Jared Goff is their guy because clearly in one of the best possible systems with one of the best defenses and great weapons.
He still struggled to succeed.
Yeah, he was just getting by.
Yeah.
And that was as a result. It was a product of his environment.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, so I don't really understand that. But, it's the Detroit Lions. You can't really sit there and knock them too much because that's just kind of the way that they run their organization at this point. Yeah. So, It's okay. Lions are just going to be the Lions for the time being. I mean, who knows? Dan Campbell could be turning them around eventually, but I'm not seeing the vision so far, I'll say that.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, he's kind of, he's known as a pretty intense coach, too.
Oh, yeah. Biting kneecaps.
Yeah. And he was hyped when the team was fighting in practice.
Yeah.
A little odd.
You gotta bring that philosophy.
I guess. I mean, whatever works. Clearly, whatever they were doing there before just wasn't working.
Their 4 wins this year are going to be hard fought, I'll tell you that.
4 is honestly generous. But
yeah.
we'll see what happens.
I'm an optimist, sorry. And another QB battle I wanted to get to was Jimmy G and Trey Lance, because I feel like that's just pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Trey Lance looked pretty impressive, I will say. I thought I was kind of on the boat that he needed the city year, and he would.
Because I feel like he's just the way he plays is a work in progress, you know.
Yeah, I felt like he would just he sat out basically a whole year. That doesn't help, and he only started 1 year in college, so I thought I was under the impression that he would need to sit, but he's came out and ran it pretty well. And he slinged it out there.
Sounds like Mitch to me. 1 year in college.
Honestly, Mitch did come out hot in the preseason, I will say. But being in the Kyle Shanahan system will probably benefit him a lot, because they'll have a top, I mean, maybe the best rushing attack in football. So that'll help him so much and take the pressure off of, along with the solid weapons he has around him.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
So I think he's ready to take the reins, personally, because I think Jimmy G is pretty limited.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. He's just
he's kind of Jared Goff vibes sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. Like when they went to the Super Bowl, that had absolutely nothing to do with Jimmy G.
Yeah, both of them went to the Super Bowl.
Bare minimum.
Yeah, in similar systems with a great running game, solid wide receivers all around, and
solid
great defenses. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. I mean,
and
both
good coaching.
Yeah, and both of those teams decided to take the next step this year and take a quarterback that could put them over the top, because you can't beat the Kansas City Chiefs playing that way.
Or even the Buffalo Bills, I feel like, at this point.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, because you have to have some sort of high-powered offense as far as as the passing attack goes.
And both of them lost and struggled severely in the Super Bowl. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. They're all trying to catch up to the Chiefs and the Bucs right now, because they're so explosive, and if you get down a couple touchdowns, it's kind of hard to come back, no matter what your defense is like. You know?
For sure.
So it's pretty interesting. The last preseason game, I believe Jimmy G had 14 snaps and Trey Lance had 10. So they were coming in and out of the game during drives.
Yeah, I remember you texting me about that.
Which is pretty weird.
Odd.
Yeah, I haven't seen something like that. Maybe it's just a preseason thing. Maybe Kyle's trying something out. I mean, he's probably
he's a pretty revolutionary coach.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite coaches in the league, so I respect his football mind a lot. So I'm respecting whatever he's attempting to do with that. I think Trey Lance struggled a little bit against the blitz and under pressure, which is normal for a young quarterback.
Yeah,
I believe he was 5 for 15, so he didn't do all that great. So obviously he has things to work on, but his tools and his talent is just so much better than Jimmy. I feel
his ceiling's ridiculously high.
Even if he's learning on the fly, I think he's still better than Jimmy.
I agree, honestly.
Because
like you said earlier, Jimmy is just a ridiculously limited quarterback.
No, yeah. Because you can, what Kyle Shanahan's really good at doing, and so is Sean McVay also, he's really good at splitting the field in half. So what you can do is you can run bootlegs and stuff like that. And you can, as he's rolling out to the right, he only has to look at half of the field. So he doesn't have to go through as many reads, which is what Nagy kind of had to do with Mitch, but he didn't do it obviously as successful, nor was Mitch able to execute it anyway. But that's basically how he could probably integrate him into the offense, along with running the ball probably over 50% of the time. So.
Yeah. So, Niners, they might surprise people this year.
Yeah. Oh, and also they're one of the biggest screen teams ever. Like the Deebo Samuel, and the Brandon Ayuk, just bubble screens over and over again, just pick up 6 or 7 yards. It's literally clockwork.
I really think Ayuk is going to have a great year this year.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that later, but yeah, I agree.
We can move on to the Blackhawks. They kind of just, I don't know, we were kind of just hating on them later in the season after we kind of destroyed our playoff chances by just being absolutely horrendous for the last couple months of the season, but they went out and they actually made some moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were we were extremely down on them. It was kind of funny, honestly, thinking back on it, because we were all like at the beginning of the season, we were so optimistic, and then we became the most pessimistic people ever.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They went out and got goalie of the year last year, best goalie in the league, Marc-Andre Fleury. He's 38 years old, but I think we only plan on having him for a year or two. Yeah. It was funny when we got him too, because he didn't know if he wanted to play or retire.
He had to talk with the team. We traded for him, not even knowing, because I think if he decided not to play, we would have been stuck with his money anyway.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was just. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter now, but I'm thinking that was just smoke. Yeah. Just because they didn't want to announce it right away, but yeah, I think. And we got the goalie of the year, and I still don't even think that was our biggest acquisition, which is crazy.
Yeah, Seth Jones, I mean, multiple-time All-Star young defenseman. He had, not the best year last year, but last year was just an odd season in general.
He's got the track record, though.
Oh, yeah. He's young enough, and just defense is what we've needed, because our defense has been struggling so badly lately.
Sure.
So
yeah, I've heard the advanced analytics don't like him as much, but everyone who watches the game and knows the game says that he's a good player. Mm-hmm. So, he's just one of those guys that maybe the analytics don't pick up on what he actually brings to the game value-wise.
I think we definitely overpaid for him a little bit, but, I mean, that comes with it sometimes, you know what I mean?
I mean, he got locked up long-term at least,
Which is good.
He'll be a cornerstone for the defenseman for a long time.
Especially losing a guy like Keith, even though he is already up there in age, 37, 38 years old, he's still a solid player. I mean, he led us in ice time as a 37-year-old guy, which is
ridiculous,
absurd. But he's on the Oilers now. I mean, it was time to move on, because I feel like we're kind of doing an actual retool. Like what the Cubs are calling a retool, that's what the Hawks are doing, because they're holding on to Taze and Kane, who are the two guys that have just been there through it all, and they want to push for one more cup, and I'm all for it, because Taze is supposed to come back this year, apparently. After last year, he had a weird autoimmune disorder or something.
Yeah.
But it'll be good to have our captain of our team back. Kane's still putting out every year just MVP numbers. Was voted at the ESPY's best NHL player in the league. I mean, I don't really agree with that last year, but I'll take it. And then getting Tyler Johnson from the Lightning, too. Very solid player from the repeat champions of the league. The Lightning have pretty easily won back-to-back championships.
Yeah, for sure. He brings that championship pedigree to the team. Mm-hmm. Along with, I think with the retool, I like what you were saying about how the Blackhawks are doing more of a retool than the Cubs, because obviously you got to shave a little bit off the core when you're doing a retool, because if you keep everyone together, you're not even really doing anything. You're just staying lateral. But with shaving a little bit off, getting a little younger, getting a little better, you know, locking up guys long term, along with keeping your main two guys.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good recipe, because it's adding a little bit of flair along with keeping what worked before.
And when people think Blackhawks, I mean, the two players they think are Kane and Taze every time.
So
they've been
together,
that
Mm-hmm. It keeps the pedigree of the team together, and there's clear leaders around. You know what I mean? It's almost like the White Sox trading away their key pieces, but they still kept Abreu, and he just kept that pedigree of the team. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So when they became good, I mean, obviously Taze and Kane have won championships before, and Abreu hadn't been to the playoffs. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And Taze and Kane are still in their early 30s, so they still have some good years left. So,
for sure.
And then the reason we even had Colleton, we replaced Quenneville with him, is because he's
still can't believe it.
I still can't believe it. I don't agree with it in the way they went about, because they had Quenneville on the Barstool podcast,
Red Line Radio,
and they he found out through the they didn't call him or anything. It was
That's
just
ridiculous. And and there was a death close to him right before that too, and they cut ties with him around that time. It just
and Bowman
felt
just
like a crappy situation.
Bowman was he was praised when he came here for all the moves he was making, but just I feel like after the Quenneville thing, he's kind of had some dark clouds over his name. Just the way he handled that situation. I mean, Quenneville is one of the best coaches of all time, won 3 championships for the city, and just the way they got rid of him, it was so odd.
Yeah, a lot of people were not a fan of it.
The one criticism that they were having is that Coach Q couldn't develop younger players, which is why they bring in Colleton, which, I mean, he didn't have much experience in Rockford, which is our AHL affiliate. He is a younger coach, and I guess he gets through to younger players better, but I don't know. It's still up in the air if he has what it takes to take this team to the next level.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's because he hasn't had the greatest team. But I mean, at least he gets a shot, I think, this year. At least being like a bottom-tier playoff team. We'll see what the expectations coming are close to the season.
There's a lot of uncertainty about this year. I'm happy about the moves we're making, but we just locked up Connor Murphy yesterday on a 4-year extension. He's one of our top defensemen, so that's good. So him and Seth Jones will be a good duo on defense for sure. I mean, we have in the playoffs, I think it was 2 years ago, we had the youngest team in the playoffs, so it's like we're not an aging team, really.
No.
We have a few older guys, but overall, I mean, our future's pretty bright.
And we've, like we were talking about before, we've shaved off a little bit of the age, too, along with that. So
so it is a true retool, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's good for the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
The Bulls, I mean, I think they surprised everybody this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, Karnasovis, I mean, what else can you really say? Mark Eversley and AK have done an amazing job at just turning around the whole team in literally a matter of a year. It's ridiculous, honestly.
Not having Garpax anymore is just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a breath of fresh air. I mean, Pax is still there, but he's like off to the side, and I mean, whatever. Like, he has no say in anything.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like roster construction wise, so I'm perfectly content with where our front office is at this point, and I'm perfectly content with where our team is also at the same time.
Me too. I mean, especially in the East, which is the weaker conference, I mean, we've kind of already just made ourselves a mid-tier playoff team in the East before the season even started, I think. I mean, we went out and got Lonzo Ball, which is huge. We've been preaching this, I feel like, for a couple of years now. If we could get a true point guard like Lonzo Ball, I mean, he's gonna run the pace of the team, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love the contract that we gave him. I love everything about that deal, honestly, as far as the sign-and trade goes and everything like that. I mean, he's just the perfect complement to Zach LaVine, honestly, in my opinion. Like, he obviously likes having the ball in his hands because he's a great distributor. He doesn't need to take all the shots. He's willing to set up his teammates. He's unselfish.
He's a true point guard.
Yeah, he'll get his hands in the passing lanes. He'll play great defense. I mean, there's nothing else you could really ask for. He's great on the fast break. So, I mean, and his shooting is only getting better.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a great signing in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind. And then DeMar DeRozan. I mean, he's been an all-star player, I'd say, his whole career, and if he was in the East every year, like that he wasn't with the Spurs, he'd still be an all-star every year, I feel like. You know what I mean? Like, he's had a few years where he was just snubbed from the all-star team.
Yeah, exactly. He's been really, really good. I mean, like, he averaged over 20 points per game last year, and he was super efficient while doing it also. He was just on a Spurs team that was kind of boring.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're very stale, like, low-tier playoff, high-tier not making the playoff team. They're like a 9-seed team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big fan of that. And then we got a sort of a spark plug, and Alex Caruso off the bench, who's a solid scorer.
Very exciting player to watch.
Yeah, he has a lot of highlight plays and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited. He's also a bit of a meme. It's kind of funny to have a player like that on your team.
Yeah, I love that so much. I feel like Alonzo, like, he doesn't really fit in that category, but like he's kind of like having a character on your team. You know what I mean? Because everybody knows Lonzo. Like, it's cool to have these big time players on our team now.
Yeah, now like we're a team that people actually pay attention to, and it's
just because of the names too.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, you know,
and then everyone's starting to notice Zach LaVine as being like one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah, he just signed with one of the
Clutch Sports.
Yeah, LeBron's with them too. So
yeah, that's Rich Paul's agency, which is LeBron's agent.
Right.
I mean, everyone's taking note. I mean, especially with him playing in the Olympics, winning gold, being a big part of the team and all that.
All-star this past season.
Yeah, and he was also credited to being one of the main recruiters of these players. So
really,
okay. Yeah, I saw something about him talking to DeMar DeRozan, I believe.
Really?
So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and DeMar DeRozan also has some pedigree with Vucevic, Nikola Vucevic.
They were teammates in college.
Yeah,
right?
USC. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting.
I mean, our starting fives, it's not bad. You know?
Yeah, and Mark Eversley also has a former relationship with DeMar DeRozan, so he also had talks with him and stuff about coming over. So it's pretty dope, honestly.
Yeah, it's very dope.
Like I feel pretty good about it. I think the starting lineup of Lonzo, Zach, Demar, Patrick Williams, and Vucevic is so athletic, so talented, and I mean, could beat most teams. To be honest with you, especially with Patrick Williams continuing to get better, Lonzo still being young, getting better. I mean, that's perfect to me. We did let go of Laurie Markkanen.
I think it was time though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like what we got, honestly. It was a sign and trade with the Cavaliers and I forget. But we got Derrick Jones Jr. and then a protected first rounder, which is, I mean, perfect with me. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to get very much for him, but we got a solid player to come off the bench. And then
another kind of highlight dunking player, too.
Yeah, exactly. And then, it was with the Blazers.
Okay.
Yeah, Larry Nance Jr. went to the Blazers. We got Derrick Jones Jr. and a protected first rounder. And then the Cavs got Laurie Markkanen. I think Laurie's a solid player, but he just never really had that killer instinct for me.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I preached. We both talked about a lot.
I mean, he was averaging 15, so obviously he's a decent NBA player, but he just, I don't know. He's very passive player, I feel like.
He's very talented. He would just kind of disappear from games sometimes, and it was kind of frustrating to watch because it would be like, why aren't you being the alpha?
Yeah.
You know? Especially, around the time where him and Levine first got into the team together, it was supposed to be them too.
Yeah.
You know, and he just kind of never held his end
Levine
of the
clearly took the wheel, you know.
No, he kind of peaked his first year, honestly. He came out so hot, and you always felt like he was always going to get a little better and then a little better, and then over time he's become a stud. Happened. He just kind of stood and was stuck in the mud, you know?
For sure.
Which is unfortunate. I mean, he's not a bad player. He's pretty solid, actually, but it just kind of sucks to see, you know?
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the Bulls go, I think they'll be like you said, a mid-tier playoff team.
I think a 4 seed, 5 seed maybe, because you still got Brooklyn, you still got Philadelphia.
I mean, I guess you could say Boston they'll be fighting with.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Who else? Who else is up there? I feel like
the Bucks.
Oh yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. I'm I know we're forgetting a team, the NBA champions.
A small part of the league.
I feel like we could beat out Boston though. Boston had an odd year last year.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I just kind of threw them in there because they're always there, and then I guess Miami, they got Kyle Lowry, so who knows? They're a pretty gritty team.
Knicks are okay too.
Yeah, but they're the Knicks. I'm not really. I mean, I'm not too worried about them personally. You know.
Yeah.
They got some good players, but I think we're better and more well coached. Even though.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I love Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah. Tom's that guy, but
yeah, for sure. I like Billy Donovan though.
But it's just nice that we filled a lot of holes that we had this offseason.
For sure. I think we're definitely the winners of the offseason, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I mean, we kind of wheeled and dealed pretty well all offseason, and then we also drafted Ayo Dosunmu, so I just kind of wanted to bring that up.
From U of I, yep.
Yeah. Second round pick, pretty solid player. I think he can be a good backup point guard or a good backup guard in general with Kobe White. So
yeah, because Kobe White's definitely not. I feel like just I don't know. He's not starting point guard material for the NBA.
He gives me good 6-man energy though. As far as being a spark plug and going out there and running the second offense and just getting buckets.
Oh yeah,
I feel like he could easily do that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because he can get buckets. I mean, that's never been a question with him. It's just whether or not he meshes with Zach LaVine because they both need the ball in their hands. You know.
Yeah, for sure. So it's I'm very excited to see the Bulls this year. I'm actually excited for the first time in years to watch the Bulls.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And then we wanted to move on to some fantasy football, just some slight advice, just in case you haven't had your draft yet, because the season is coming up.
Right. I have another draft this Sunday, so I'm excited for that.
I have a few. Let's see. We got some sleepers and busts that we both came up with.
Yeah. And these we don't know for sure, but this is just kind of our opinion.
In my humble opinion, I would say. Jacoby Myers is one guy that I like, especially with Mac Jones starting.
That's having Mac Jones as opposed to Cam Newton starting. I mean, that shoots his value up so much.
Yep, and even with Cam last year, he was kind of a target machine for a lot of the year. Honestly, he was getting a lot of targets. He wasn't scoring touchdowns and not getting that much yardage. So watch out for him. That's all I got to say.
For sure. I think if Justin Fields could start relatively early in the season, Darnell Mooney might be a nice flex to have in your league.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see how much. I think he should be used because he's an extremely underrated route runner. Just a very solid receiver overall, you know.
I agree. I think he's got huge potential. It just depends on the volume of the offense as a whole, you know, how many yards are actually going around.
Because I know Nagy said that he wanted to use Montgomery a little more this year, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Another guy that I really like is Corey Davis. He's kind of instilled himself as the alpha there, and he was paid to do so, so I like...
He's in with the Jets, right?
Yes, yeah, and Zach Wilson has looked very solid. I don't know about Zach Wilson's fantasy value like in general as himself, but because rookies tend to make mistakes and have down games and stuff, but... They also tend to latch on to a certain receiver, and they'll just hyper-target them. So
very true.
I think that could very well be the case with Corey Davis, and
he'll
be on the field. So
there was a lot of potential there in Tennessee, but it didn't really work out that well.
Yeah, he was a top 6 pick, I want to say, in the draft. So I mean, he's always had it in him.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just I think he got a lot better his last few years in Tennessee, but I think he's ready to take the next step to be
for sure.
At least a solid wide receiver too for your team, I think. And then another guy I had was Chase Claypool.
I think he really made a name for himself last year.
Yeah, out of Notre Dame. I mean, if you literally go into a lab and decide what you want a wide receiver to look like, it's Chase Claypool. I mean, he's 6'5". He can run and jump with the best of them. I mean, like what else can you really ask for? He's got good hands.
Yeah.
He got a solid amount of targets last year, not nearly as much as Deontay Johnson, but a lot of his targets had a lot more air under him, you know? Like, they were a lot more deep targets. And,
for sure.
And I feel like he's just on the brink still, honestly. And he's a second-year wide receiver, so he's going to take everything he has.
And Juju's kind of taking a back seat anyways.
Yeah, no, he's a slot receiver, so he's just kind of – all his targets are so, like inside the chains, you know? So, like, 5 yards.
Yeah, so those watch out for Chase Claypool and those big plays this year.
Yeah, exactly. And then another guy, I have another Patriot, was Damian Harris. I mean, self-explanatory with Mac Jones coming in to the fold. He's going to get a lot more red zone opportunities as far as rushing attempts because Cam Newton was always running the ball in himself, so it kind of would take away.
And with Mac, there's some chemistry there, you know?
Oh, Alabama teammates. Didn't even think about that, yeah. He's also looked solid, and they got rid of Sony Michel, so he's just kind of like a lone man.
Yeah, he's the guy there now.
Exactly.
So. Brandon Ayuk, I had him last year in fantasy. Ever since he was drafted, I've been pretty high on Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's a dynamic player with the ball in his hands, and he's a solid route runner. And Kyle Shanahan's pretty crafty with how he gets the ball in his receivers' hands, like with screens or like
we've seen with Deebo Samuel,
routes.
And
yeah,
even
exactly.
when they had Marquise Goodwin.
They're both very good at just being dynamic with the ball. So that's the kind of receiver they look for, and I'm very high on him also, to be honest with you.
That should do it for our sleepers. Some potential busts. This is kind of me, at least, not for Joey, but Ezekiel Elliott, I don't know. I just feel like the last couple of years he's been up and down. And with Dak coming back, too, they're better together, I'd say, but I don't know. It's just he's so, like, I don't know. There's a lot of inconsistency there, I feel like, with Zeke. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I get it. I just like that the volume is there, and I think that he'll get a lot more targets this year with Dak. But I can understand. Another one we agree on was Derrick Henry. That was more your point, but I also agree with you, honestly.
It's just like having the 2,000-year season. Obviously, he had one of the best running back seasons of all time last year, and he's done it. He's led the league, 2 years in a row in rushing?
Yes, at least.
It's just for a guy this big to keep it up like this and the volume that he's at, I don't see it being sustainable, especially as he's approaching like his being 30 years old and everything. It's like running backs just don't last that long and aren't in their primes that long, you know what I mean?
One of these years he's going to have, and he's either going to get injured or he's just going to lose a step, and I'd prefer to not have him in that year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
He was kind of off my draft board. Personally.
Yeah, same. And there's not a whole lot of receiving, like, you know what I mean? Like he
doesn't catch the ball.
He's just
like
a pure
whatsoever.
rusher.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, he gets fed so much, but he doesn't have like he doesn't have like a crazy floor because he's not catching many passes, so it kind of hurts his value.
Right, and he's not very versatile. So if you take that away from his game, like say he gets a leg injury or something, it's just like his career might be over after that.
It's like he had 2,000 yards rushing last year, and he still wasn't even the best running back in fantasy.
Oh yeah,
it's ridiculous because it's like because he has no floor with the receptions or the targets or anything like that, and that's so key in fantasy football nowadays.
And then another guy you put on there was Kenny Gallaudet, because I mean he's in the Giants now, and his ceiling can only be so high. I feel
exactly, and he's been consistently hurt.
Yeah.
So
when he played with Detroit, I mean, he had Matt Stafford, obviously, but it's like he was good there.
He was very good. Yeah, I agree. He would always make very good contested catches and just basically bully people into touchdowns and yardage and receptions.
Yeah, but just being in New York and just with a subpar quarterback.
Yeah, and other options there just doesn't really help his case. I'm not gonna lie.
Who are there other? They have Sterling Shepard,
Evan Ingram. I mean, that's not saying much, obviously, but it's just at the same time, it's like, and Darius Slayton also, but at the same time, it's just like,
with Saquon, too.
Yeah, so. I don't see him being, like, a wide receiver, like, I mean.
A clear wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I don't even see him being, like, he's like a wide receiver 3 in fantasy for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't.
For sure.
I don't see him being too great. And then Dallas Goedert is also a guy that I don't believe in. Like, I like the talent, don't get me wrong, and I like that he's very good at football, but besides that, he's got nothing much going for him. Jalen Hurts, being the quarterback, won't give the offense like a crazy high-powered feel, you know?
Especially on the passing side of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if the passing yards are really going to be there, and he's still splitting with Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Like, people tend to forget that Zach Ertz is just kind of chilling there in the shadows, like,
even
taking
though
away
he
targets.
Used to be pretty elite, but it's like now he's still got, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just there enough to be annoying. Like, you know what I mean? There's going to be games where Zach Ertz catches the touchdown, and then Dallas Goedert's just kind of there, you know, getting like 5 points in PPR.
For sure.
So it's just kind of, I don't know why he's being drafted as high as he is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that should do it for this week. There was a lot we had to cover because we just missed a lot. There was probably 3-4 month gap between episodes, but thank you guys for listening this week. You'll be able to find this episode on the library SoundCloud, and we're going to post it on the Glacier too, so stay tuned for that next week, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.